So this is unusual. This is Vince with Listings to Leads, and we're going to start off with a little testimonial here. I was pulling it up while we were talking. Um, so the whole thing about Facebook, everybody, you know that we've got a lead generation platform. We're just rolling it out for your office right now. But one of the most exciting things going on in real estate marketing is the fact that you can target your farm markets, the people you're trying to grow your business with Facebook very inexpensively, and definitely very efficiently from a time standpoint. I mean, it's really easy. I'm going to show you how we do it. But here's just one of our clients, and this is back from the summer. And this guy Shannon Pyatt is in the eastern side of the United States, and he's a tech savvy guy. He's been in real estate for a while. When he found us, he learned what it is that what we say and what we ask our clients to do on Facebook, and he came back with this message here. And I don't know if you can see it, but basically, he's saying that 90% of his new business is coming from our tools on Facebook. Okay, so you now have access to these tools, and I want to log in and show you what to do with that. Okay, so if you've got questions, please put them in the chat panel and I will answer. I'll take a break every now and then. I'm going to click login. I just want to remind you that if you are giving the ID and passwords to everybody, make sure they log in at the top right. One of the mistakes that some agents will make is they'll go to the left and start a new trial, and then that just sort of throws a wrench in the works. But as an agent logs in, there are a couple things here that I want you to see. Right here is a call with Shannon Pyatt, and I just showed you that testimonial. And so this is the recording webinar of Shannon talking and showing you on a webinar exactly what he is doing. And I'm going to show you what he's doing because we showed Shannon how to do it. And he's been doing it for well over a year, and he's just having really tremendous growth in business, hiring new agents, and just making a bunch. And if you want to hear it from his words and see it on his computer, click right here to watch this recorded webinar. This guy up here is a Keller Williams agent from down in Florida, Neil Wolf. He's also using Facebook advertising. It's a little bit slower of a call to watch, but he's also doing something really incredible on Craigslist, and it's something that I highly recommend that you watch. So I'm going to click to the left, and that'll close that page. And I want to point out this green button right here on the home page. Right up here is home. This green button is Facebook advertising, and this is a great resource for you after the call if you feel like I forgot what Vince said. Right here is a video on how to create property valuation landing pages, how to customize them. We are going to look at that and talk about that. And then right here at number 2 is how to place an ad in under 2 minutes. It is very simple to run an ad on Facebook, and I'm going to show you how to run an ad. Okay. We're actually going to run 2 ads together, and then at 2 different times, and then you'll understand kind of what that's like. And I'm going to record this and give this recording to you, so you should have some resources to work with going forward. The other thing I want to point out is that right here is a button that says click to join Listings to Leads Mastermind Group, and I recommend that you all join this group and that you come in here every once a week for just a few minutes and look at what's going on, because a lot of people share ideas. I see a lot of people asking questions too, but a lot of agents, I see it every week. Even the beginning of this week, somebody just said, hey, I ran this ad, it looked like this, and I got all these leads. And what I'm going to show you, I'm going to kind of get into the strategy of how to make Facebook work. I'm going to show you how to do it. But the one thing that you have to put into it is a little bit of thought, right? Because running it out on Facebook is kind of like copy and paste and click this button here and do this and that, and we're going to go through that. But you do have to put some energy into thought of what do I want to say to get people to click, right? Because I can show you that we actually put some default language, and it's not the most compelling, it's just default language to go there, but we really want people to think about that. And in our mastermind group, a lot of ideas are shared about the kind of ideas and language, and I'm going to give you a couple tips when we get there. So those are kind of the things to think about. So let's go. I'm going to click on the listings page, and the 2 areas when we're thinking of Facebook where you want to sort of spend your time is on the listings page and on the landing page section. And so if you've heard anything about Facebook in the past 12 months relating to real estate, it probably has something to do with landing pages, and landing pages are very powerful. Um, and we're not the only company with landing pages. You probably know that, right? Market Leader used to sell you agents a property valuation landing page for like, I don't know, 200 a month, something just insane. And there's a lot of companies with this, right? Prime Seller, Home Value, Curator, etc. But we really have a lot of pages, and we continue to bring out new ones. Almost, I'd say on average, about every 2 weeks we have a new landing page. And we have a lot of feedback from our clients to improve those and make sure that they're generating leads. So there's a lot of great stuff about landing pages, and I definitely we're going to look at that. But the thing that you got to understand of all these companies that have landing pages that out there, and what they don't understand, and or they're just not getting into it, is that you have to actually, to make Facebook really work well for you, you have to build a brand on Facebook. Okay? And what that means is you have to let people know that you are a realtor, right? Because, I don't know how you sort of let the world know that you're a realtor in the past, right? In the old days, people would buy, a picture in a magazine, or they'd buy a bus stop or a sign on a bus, or they'd invest in all these different ways, right? So the thing about Facebook, and I should have pulled this up a minute ago, is that Facebook is the #2 website in the country. And the difference in what listings to leads does, compared to all these other real estate marketing platforms like Zillow, Trulia, and Homes.com and all this and that, is those are destination places where people, when they're thinking about real estate, will go, right? They will go out there and yeah, there's a bunch of properties, and then ideally you get some leads there or you don't, right? But right here, what we focus on is getting our tools in front of people to be, to be where they are. And I think the numbers from over a year ago are that 71% of adults are on Facebook in the United States. So your target market is there. So the key is, how do you get in front of them? How do you build that brand, and how do you get those leads? Okay? So we looked at this last week, and we talked about the core system, and there are 2 tools in particular that are really helpful in building a brand. And they are this column here, the single property website, that's the red button with a white house, and the listing landing page. Okay, and the listing landing page is right here. And let's look at them. First of all, before we look at them, I want to point out over here, there are these little red statuses. UD means under deposit, active contingent, just sold, active. So what does it look like when I click on a single property website that's active contingent? I'm going to click on it right now. And it looks just like the same, your normal marketing. It's got all your lead gen links. I can capture a lead here by getting a sales price, things like that. But then it says right here, active contingent. And this status changes when you change the status by clicking this button here, right? And we kind of went over this last week. It is something that I definitely want all of you to know. Inventory is tight. It's probably going to tighten up. And so you don't just want to throw a listing in an MLS and hope that somebody brings you a buyer. You want to push this thing out as many times as you can. And here you can say, hey, here's a property that's just listed. Here's something that's under contract. Here's something that is price reduced, open house, or just sold. So you're talking about the same home multiple times, right? But where that comes into play with Facebook, and this is really the most important piece of doing that, is what you want to let people know in Facebook is that, 1, you're a realtor, and 2, you are associated to real estate transactions. So what you really want to be able to say is, hey, I've got a new listing. Here's a home that's coming soon, right? Let everybody in Facebook know. And I'm going to show you how and the mechanics of that in a second. But you also want to say, hey, now we've got an open house. Hey, now we've got this same house is under contract, and now, we are pending, or we're active contingent, and now we've just sold, right? So that if you're targeting the same target market, you're telling them throughout the course of one listing that you've got things going on in real estate. And that's the whole point of building a brand on Facebook, okay? So you do that, we think, most highly with the single property websites here and the listing landing pages, okay? So I'm going to click on a listing landing page over here for property number 6 that says just sold, just to show you what that looks like. And here's a home, right? And this is a listing landing page. It's a little bit blurry in the background because I've got a this picture came off of the MLS. So I'm going to show you another one. It's a little bit better. I think it's in Naples. Again, it's just sold. And we click on the listing landing page here. And I uploaded a higher quality photo. So it didn't just come from the MLS. So it looks really sharp, right? And that is a point of building your brand. You want your tools to look really good, right? And this is a listing landing page. This is a active contingent. If it was just sold, it would say just sold right up here. And this is a single property website. So I like this site. And so we want you to kind of go back and forth in placing ads with these or with these. They have a totally different look, but that's the point of marketing. You don't want to go out marketing with the same thing over and over and over. So that's why we say kind of switch it up. We also suggest that you run ads for like 3 and 4 days at a time. Don't run an ad for 30 days. Now I'm going to fill this out right here, this just sold listing landing page, so that you can see what happens. So what we're after here, a landing page by definition, just so we have that out, is we want to get contact information by giving them a little information that they want. In this case, it's getting a little information about a home. It might be get the home value of your own home, right? But in this case, I'm putting in my name, I'm clicking get the information, and for me as a consumer, what happens? I drop right on the single property website, and from here, I don't know if you can see it on my computer here, I'm getting these emails. I'm getting an email as an agent saying somebody just filled this out and here's his name and phone number. And then as a consumer, I'm getting a thank you for that request, and here's a link to the single property website, even though they are right on the single property website and there's lead capture popping up all over the place. Okay, so this is kind of just a quick lead capture form. Hey, if you want the final price, just give us your name and email. That's it, nice and easy. These links over here on the single property website, if you don't recall, go right to your website, right? So you can control that. You can drive those links wherever you want. And that's kind of, so that's why we want to do that. We want tools, we want you to get tools out there that look good, that say active contingent, maybe they say sold, maybe they say open house, and you're targeting the same area over and over. And let's just say it's Sioux Falls, right? So I'm going to show you in a second here what do you do to target Sioux Falls. Okay, so let's start here, and I'm going to say, well, active contingent I think is all. That's not. Let's do just sold. This is a single property website, just sold. So how do you get this to Facebook? Before I answer that question, I want to remind you that we're building a brand here. We want thousands of people to see us and recognize that we are a realtor. We're going to do it on Facebook, okay? The tools that we really recommend are single property websites and listing landing pages. And I'm sorry if I sound repetitive, but I do this with realtors all the time, and I know they get lost like that. So I'm going to go slow so that we understand that we're going to build a brand. And then the reason we're doing that is that when we put a higher investment in Facebook for listing leads, we get a better return. Okay, so let's go here and say what are we going to do? We're going to post a single property website for this property that is just sold. One other thing, agents who don't have listings can still take advantage of this. They can actually borrow listings, right? There's a button here that says grab active listing on the top left, and if an agent doesn't mind, they can pull that listing in. It'll still be in the listing agent's account, but then they're sort of getting a copy of it. And then they can use these same tools and run ads and get buyer leads the same way. Okay, so get your listings here, get these tools here, and start getting them out on Facebook. So let's jump into that, and let's start with this just sold single property website. Just copy the hyperlink at the top and go to Facebook. Okay, and up over here on Facebook, you do need a business page. Okay, so if you haven't done one, you haven't, again, just go create it. But once you've created one, there are some little navigation buttons here, and there's a triangle, a little dark triangle pointing down. Click it and go to create ads. Okay, so when you click create ads, it brings you to this little thing here, and this is a really I think in terms of real estate advertising, I think it's like one of the most powerful ways of targeting your target market that I know of right now. I think my partner Scott agrees with that. And that's why we train live on this every Tuesday afternoon. So if you want to kind of hear the latest, we do have live training calls on Tuesday. You can see that every day when you log in and register. So what we're going to do here, just to kind of give high level, we're going to set up our campaign objective, we're going to set the audience and budget, and then we're going to kind of create over here the content of the ad. Okay, so and they make it dead easy on Facebook. What you want to do is you want to send people to your website. Okay, and just click that here, and once you click it, it says, okay, where do you want to drive them? We're not actually going to send it to your agent website. We're going to send it, in this case, to that single property website. So you paste it in, then you hit the blue button. Now there's a little message about, Facebook pixels. And if you're like at least 50% of all realtors, you're instantly distracted by that, okay? Ignore it. It's cool. It's really cool. I don't know how to manage it. I don't know how it works, but I know it's cool. But I also know you don't even need to use it to succeed in what I'm about to show you, which is generating leads. So when you really have that downtime and you want to get something really techy and going on and just make yourself crazy, go there and look at the Facebook pixel thing. But for now, click set audience and add budget. Okay? And this is actually one of the most powerful and important parts of running ads on Facebook. So, if you're distracted right now, try to reel it back in and watch what's going on here, because this is where it's really where it hits kind of the metal here. So it kind of shows you what, we're targeting the United States, but what you want to target is probably Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And when you type in Sioux Falls, it shows you a map. And I don't know Sioux Falls, right? I don't physically know. I haven't been there. I don't know the towns that are around there. But what I want you to understand is that by default, it says Sioux Falls plus 25 miles. Okay, so normally I tell people, in this case, to drop that to 10 miles, right? Because what I'm doing here is I'm saying, I've got an open house. I've got a home that's just listed. I got a home that's just sold. Here's a virtual tour. Here we're under contract. Whatever it is, to build my brand, I probably want to build my brand wider than Sioux Falls. If you're only going to do business in Sioux Falls and you're not going to drive out 10 miles, then don't do this. Then you can just change this to no radius, right? Current city only, right? But in this case, I think you're building a brand and you might actually drive 5 miles out. So you might want to do this. But again, I don't know Sioux Falls. So if 25 miles makes some sense, then you can change that, right? The other thing is, and this is most important, well, it is not super important, is the age. How many people in your market can buy a home under 25 years old? I use this. These are the only 2 points where we talk about that you want to affect, that you want to change on this place here. And right now we're just building the brand. We're not trying to get listing leads. We're not trying to find home sellers, okay? So we're going to do it again to run an ad to get home sellers. But for this one, we're trying to tell the market that, hey, we're a realtor. So once you've done that, the next thing is there's how much do you want to spend, and this is really important, okay? Now, I am going to touch on this detailed targeting, because, again, realtors see everything and then they want to click and do this. And I know some of our clients use this. There's some really cool demographics. There are things like what's your net worth and even home ownership. But I actually don't trust the data sets. I don't know where they come from. Facebook does not tell you where they come from. And some of my clients use them and some of them don't. And since the ones that don't succeed, I'm just going to tell you to ignore it, especially in the beginning when you're getting used to Facebook. And then when you got some momentum, you're getting some leads and like, hey, this is working. If you want to like dive in there and check those things, you'll know if you're hurting yourself or not. You'll know if you're killing your own lead generation or not. For me, I don't need it. We train this way. Our clients get leads and they grow their business. So all I want you to do is set that city or the zip code and minimum age bracket, and then pay attention here to the daily budget, okay? Now, as I'm looking at the daily budget, it goes to 20 bucks. That's a little high, and that's 20 bucks every day. That's high for branding, Okay. But what I want you to notice is there's a little funny thing over here. It's like it's saying how many people it's going to reach. So almost 3,000 to 7,500 on Facebook. And then if you want to be on Instagram, and you can turn off Instagram at the beginning, it's really new. I don't know if it's valuable. It may not be valuable. We're actually doing testing on Instagram. Our clients are trying Instagram, and I'm hearing from realtors that there's an upside there. So maybe it's good just to let that reach out there. But the thing that you really want to control here is the set and start date. Okay, because otherwise it's going to run ad continuously at 20 bucks a day. That's going to kill you at some point, right? So we can start it today. I like to recommend that we only run ads for like 3 to 4 days, 5 days, okay? And I'll explain why in just a second. But when you click the end date, please be aware it punches you out for 30 days out. And you want to just push it back 1 month and say, okay, I want this ad to end on Monday, right? Today is Wednesday. And it's also saying my daily budget is 20. But I'm going to see if I can do this for 2. Just see if we can do it. Yeah. So I just did this ad, I don't know, here in California, and they said, no, I have a minimum of $5. But for you, because you're not in California, you can actually run an ad for $2 a day, right? And what I want to point out is that somewhere from 500 to 1,200 people on Facebook are going to see it. So I'm going to just tweak that number. I'm going to run it for $5. Okay. And there, 2,500 people are going to see this on Facebook. And it tells me here my maximum spend is $25. But over the course of a week, a great time to use this kind of like time and budget is for an open house, right? I definitely want 2,500 people to know that I've got an open house, and that's great. So I'm going to leave it there, right? And then now you scroll down, you go to the bottom, and you go to choose ad and creative. And again, this is one of those things that I'm just going to remind you while it's kind of refreshing. There's a lot of really cool stuff here that Facebook puts there. And it's awesome for realtors because they're distracted in 30 seconds and they're lost and they don't know what's going on. So I'm only showing you what I want you to focus on. And what I want you to focus on is right down here where it shows you the ad. Okay? And I want to point out, I'm going to take a sip of coffee here. I want to point out the mechanics of this ad, and then I'm going to show you how to place it. So the first thing, when we're talking about, and you saw, I said, hey, we're going to put in $5 a day. It's going to be out there for 5 days. When I'm doing it, you know, I'm sponsored as listings to leads. When you're doing it, you're sponsored as Don the Realtor in Keller Williams, right? Or whatever your business page is called, right? And that's great, and that is a big point of what we're doing here, because you know that I'm running an ad for 5 days for 20 bucks, and 2,500 people are going to see that I am Don the Realtor, right? And so that's the point of why Facebook, why we're branding. This is not going to say listings to lead. This is going to be about you, okay? Then it shows us the big picture of the home, and then down below you get like a quick little snippet here of whatever the address is. There's a button here, learn more. When the consumer clicks on any of this ad, they land on the single property website, right? And when they land here, they can get pop-ups of lead capture. They can find out what their home is worth. They can get links right to your website. So that's really cool for us. So let's go back to the ad manager. And I want to point out, you see this language here, up-to-date photos, maps, blah, blah, blah. That is not compelling. Okay, so this is that point where I was saying earlier that you got to just take a couple seconds and put a little bit of thought, right? And, you know, whatever it is, I don't know, maybe it's got, you know, here's a great home, I don't know, new upgraded kitchen. Those buzzwords that are that are the selling point of this home. Get those in here. You know, grade schools or whatever. You know something about this home because you're selling it. Get that language here in this box, and it shows up right up here above the photograph. So take a few seconds, and when I type, I don't know if you can see it. I'm gonna say granite kitchen, and you can't quite see it. So Facebook always makes these little changes, and I don't even know how to keep up. But I can tell you this: the number of characters in this box are limited to, like, I want to say it's like 50 or 75 or something. So if you feel like I've got more to say, maybe you've got there's a special home and you want to say more, there's a button here that says show advanced options, and they give you 200 more characters. So you can kind of write a lot more here, and then it shows up under this thing here, right? And great, I'm just going to put beautiful great room just so you can see where that shows up. If I know how to spell, right? And so I wrote beautiful great room. It shows up in this little language down here, and then it says, I have 180 characters on. Now this is the address, right? And this is, they call it the headline here, and I'm going to say, you don't have a lot of room up here in the headline, but I'm just going to do it. Awesome investment property, right? Something like that. And if you type too much, it'll actually give you a little, right now, it's giving me a little red or yellow thing saying it's too long, right? I'll just put it that way. And you'll see that so I have this habit of when I type something, I always put in 2 periods. And this is a little nuance. If you put in 2 periods, it seems kind of, I think, like marketing schlocky, to like, and more now or whatever, So they actually block you. They won't let you put 2 periods or multiple exclamation points and stuff like that. But I have seen people put all caps and stuff like that. But I always like the ads to look clean. But notice the point of all this is we're changing the content here, and it's showing up live here. Okay. To place this order, all you do is you click place order, and when you place it, you'll get a message from Facebook saying, hey, you've got a couple, we're going to review this, and then we'll make it live, and then they'll send you a message. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 30 minutes. They actually have people at Facebook now who are watching this, right? And you can even call them and get support on Facebook to understand, like, what's happening, what's not happening, and maybe you don't understand something. But there are a couple points right here before you place that ad that I want you to understand, okay? And one is, it's this little section here. And the most important one is the mobile newsfeed. Today, what we're doing, this ad right now, is for me to build my brand. And so for me to build that brand, that means I just want them to see that I'm sponsoring this, that I've got a home just listed, I got a home open house, I got a home sold, whatever, right? I want them to know I'm a realtor. So in terms of mobile, okay, I like that, right? If I'm running an ad, and this is where it's more important, if I'm running an ad to say, what is your home worth? Our property valuation landing pages are mobile responsive. But if I do that in the middle of the week and people see that on mobile, I don't know where they are. Are they at work? Are they in line at Starbucks? Are they jogging? Are they doing whatever, just like scrolling through their phone like people all over this country do all day long on Facebook? I may not want mobile at certain times. But for this, because I'm just trying to say, hey, I'm here, and I want you to know I'm a realtor, mobile's cool. If it's not cool, just click remove, right? And what's interesting is when you remove it, it also takes this audience network away. And I actually don't like audience network. We don't dive too much into this, but just so you know what it is, there are other companies that have apps on smartphones, right? I mean, there's just all these apps on smartphones. And I have this one app that's it's like a disk cleaner, right? So it shuts down my apps because they're running and they're burning my battery, and it's got its own little page. So if I log into my phone and it says, oh, we shut down all these apps and blah, 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 there's a little commercial down there sometimes. Sometimes it's about video games, and sometimes it's about what is your home worth, right? Because somebody is running an ad using mobile and saying, I want the ad network. To me, as a consumer, it has no relevance, right? Just none at all. But maybe it does for you and you can use it, but that's what it is. Desktop right column is something that you can leave or not. When you look at it, and I'll show you what that desktop right column is in just a second, I am sort of trained not to even look at the right column, I'm also trained from just years on the internet to not look at the top 3 things on Google because I know they're paid ads. So where we really want to be is the mobile news feed, or not the mobile news feed, but it's actually up here, the desktop news feed. Okay, I'm going to go to Facebook in just a second and show you. And then Instagram, try Instagram, you can remove it. In this case, I'm going to click add because I want it to be on mobile. I'm going to remove the audience network because I don't want it to be on the video games that kids are playing on, or whatever. And then I just click place the order. Facebook is going to say, great, we'll review it, and then we'll make it live. Make sure and check it out when it's live. One of the weird things, and we're still trying to figure out, because Facebook actually changes a lot. I mean, they're like any company. They test out new things across the country. That's why it's good to get on the calls with us. But one thing we have seen is that you can place an ad. They say, well, we'll review it. Then they'll send you an email, and they'll say, okay, great, it's live. And then you look, and there's just no reach. Okay, there's just no reach. And that's a thing that it tells you. So when we ran the ad, we were 1 page back, and we set that budget. And I was saying, you see how 2,700 people are gonna be able to see this? Your reach is gonna be right around there. So you're gonna get a couple of metrics after the ad is over, and it says here's your reach, and here's your click-throughs. Okay. Now we're only putting $5 here, so we're not going to get a lot of clicks because it is pay per click. So you're not going to get hundreds, but you're going to get a lot of reach. Thousands of people are going to see this. Okay. And I'm going to close out of here. But you're going to get that, and you should analyze that, right? You should look at that and say, hey, how did that work? I did get some reach. I got some clicks, etc., etc. But that's what we're doing with our listings. Now, I talked to you about Shannon Pyatt early in the call, and I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to tell you what our top clients who are just killing it on Facebook do. And then I'm going to say you have to scale it to your budget. Okay. So what they do, and Shannon is one guy who runs an ad on a single property website or listing landing page for every listing for 30 days for $1 a day. Okay, so every listing he is putting on Facebook, whether it's just listed or open house or whatever, for 30 days. He'll just say, I want to change that, and I want to make sure that that is on Facebook. And you can imagine if you have 10 listings and you're running that for 30 days at $1 a day, just one listing is going to be seen by 10,000, right? Minimum people, one listing. But he's got 10 listings, right? So he thinks it's worth that investment. And the reason why I'm going to tell you that is Shannon Pyatt, the other gentleman I mentioned from Keller Williams, Neil Wolf, the lady Melanie Banks from Pennsylvania, who also, if you're clicking around our system, will also see a webinar on that. And many other people all say the same thing. And this is what I want people to say to you, and that's the purpose of this call, is people call them out of the blue and they say, I see you all over Facebook. I see you're a realtor. I want you to sell my home. Right? Don't know, never heard of this person before, but because of this strategy, these people are calling all of them. People in their markets are saying, I am seeing you all over the place. I can tell you're a realtor. I want you to sell my home. That is the point of advertising, right? That's why you buy that's why you buy a big, beautiful page on a glossy magazine, and that's why you put it on a bus stop and do all those things. Well, right now it's Facebook, and that's what these folks are doing, is they're putting a substantial budget on Facebook. And in Shannon's case, I know he runs every listing like 30 days. He's like, I don't care. I'm going to change it from open house. I'm going to run it for 5 days as a virtual tour. But everybody can now see, because he's got 10 listings at all these different statuses, that this guy's really got a lot going on, right? Now, if you're a brand new agent and you don't have any listings, you probably don't have the budget to do that, right? And you certainly don't have the listings, but you can borrow a couple of listings and put a smaller budget and get there, right? You'll get some buyers. You might get some listings too. So that's kind of how you build the brand. So let's talk about how we get the listings, okay? So the listing section, you go to landing pages. And landing pages are, there's a bunch. You click on landing pages, you come here. What a landing page is, it's really kind of, it's a big topic, and it's really different from what realtors have been talking about for many years, which is let's build a website and let's compete on the internet, and people are going to come to our website and they're going to register, and I'm going to give them all kinds of great information, and that's a great story, but it's not really the most effective way of marketing on the internet. A far more effective way is to get tools in front of people. Get a landing page that doesn't give them everything. I don't find out about mortgages or schools or about you and your family and how long you're married. I just get something, but before I get more, you're getting my contact information. And that is what a landing page does. And the key is, well, how do I get in front of people, right? How do I get that thing in front of people? Because now it can be super powerful, right? And before I kind of go into how you do it on Facebook, let's see, I think I actually have something here. Here's a really cool postcard. If I haven't sent it to you sooner, this came to us from one of our Keller Williams agents, right? And he runs just listed and just sold postcards. And here's a picture of the home on one, and there's your brand, and there's your phone number. And, you know, realtors have been doing this forever, right? But on the back of the postcard, he says, hey, find out your home value. orchardhomevalues.com, right? And when you go there, you land on one of our property valuation landing pages, okay? So when we look at this landing page section, you're going to see some light blue buttons and some dark blue buttons. These are the older ones. The light blue are the ones where we actually started the company, and you might be drawn to what is your home worth. I'm just going to click on what is your home worth, and we'll kind of remember what the internet looked like 10 years ago when we click on this. It says Connecticut. I'm going to see landing page, and this is a squeeze page, a classic old style squeeze page. It's got your banner on the top, it's got a little form, and it says, hey, you want a professional home valuation? Awesome, fill this out. That is the definition of a landing page. You want more info? Give me your contact info. This actually works really well. I'm going to show you some really slick landing pages in a second, but that page actually, a lot of clients come back today and say, hey, that works better than your super slick, you know, property valuation plus one. So if I hover over the blue ones over here, the dark blue ones, notice I get a little pop-up. Property valuation plus, let's just sort of go over the dynamics of this. Some of these things have the word plus in it. Property valuation plus, property valuation. Nearby home sold plus, nearby home sold plus one, growing family. And what I want you to understand, empty nester, or that's empty nester plus and empty nester custom free report. When it has the word plus, it means it has a built-in Zillow valuation at the end. Okay? When it just says empty nester, it doesn't. The consumer gets a thank you and an email auto response, and you get a lead. Okay? So some people, and certainly real estate agents, have, you know, some challenge. They're not super excited about Zillow estimates, and I understand that. A lot of agents know how to handle a Zillow estimate, and they have a information right at hand to say, hey, here's the accuracy of Zillow estimate from Zillow's own website. I'm going to send you this link and let's talk about it. So the thing I like about a Zillow estimate is it gets the answer to the consumer, that instant information that they want, and that's where you start the dialogue. Okay, so property valuation, this right here is going to give you an email. It's going to give them a thank you in an email, and then you got to kind of go do some work. Property valuation plus, they're going to get an email, you're going to get a lead email, and they're going to get a Zillow valuation at the end, right on the web. I'm going to show you how that works. Property valuation plus one is, yeah, they're going to get a Zillow valuation, but all the contact, all the information that you want, meaning the address, the name, and the email, is all on the first page, one page. This has to do with leads and partial leads, okay? And a partial lead means that you get an address, but you don't actually get contact information, and not everybody likes that. Again, that is a discussion for realtors. Some people are like, I don't want a lead without an email, right? And some agents are like, no, I will take as many leads as I can get because I have ways to find the emails, right? I can go look at, I don't know, tax records or whatever. I can find out who owns that home, and I'm going to put them on my own little drip campaign, okay? One thing, which we don't have for offices yet, but we do have for agents, is something called a partial lead converter. And I'm not trying to upsell you here, but I think this is awesome because it's using coal information, which is a technology basically of contact information. And so if you get a partial lead from like using Property Valuation Plus One, you can subscribe to this and we will give you the full contact information that Cole Information has. I think that's awesome. And I'm hoping that we do roll that out at a discounted rate for offices, but it is available for agents right now because that's just where we are right now. So let me click on Property Valuation Plus, because this is where I really, even if you don't use Cole, I really want you to be here. So I'm going to go back to landing pages, because we're going to imagine that you are just logging into this page for the first time, and I want to start from there, right? So what do you do here? You go to this box number 2 and you say type in your farm sales area. One area for you guys, I think, is Sioux Falls, right? And so what you want to do is you want to type it here and you want to spell it correctly and you want to capitalize it correctly, because this is going to flow right into your tools. And to make it flow right into your tools, all you do is you click save. Now when I click save, I'm going to get a little message here, and it's going to say and we'll wait a second while that happens. It's going to say we just created a series of tools, right? Your landing page series has been created successfully. What that now means is I now have landing pages under every one of these buttons that say Sioux Falls. So what does that look like? I'm going to click on the FSBO one here. Not that I want you to run FSBO ads on Facebook, because I don't. But down at the bottom it says Sioux Falls. So let's see the landing page. And it says, hey, just because you're selling your Sioux Falls homes yourself doesn't mean your marketing has to suffer. Do you want some free professional tools? Click these buttons and click next. That is designed to capture a lead. You probably know why you want to target FSBOs, and if you don't, you should have a talk about why you should target FSBOs. But then there's something here on expireds, right? Already created for Sioux Falls. And I'm sure you know from Real Estate 101 that when an expired's coming, they're going to get 100 to 50 to 100 calls from agents saying, hey, do you want to sell your home with me? And they probably don't want all those phone calls, but they might want a little more information. So here's a landing page that, if you can get in front of them, could help you out and them. But what we're really targeting right here, as I go back to the landing page dashboard, is I really want, maybe not the empty nester right now, which is a really good lead, but let's just focus on Property Valuation Plus, okay? And so when you do that, right at the bottom, it says Sioux Falls, right? And this is a default look. There's a background suburban picture here. I do not want you to use this, okay? I just don't want you to use that background picture, because the number one thing that makes this page work is when you change the background picture. And the way you change the background picture is you click Edit Landing Page. You go right here to Upload Background Image, and you go Landing Page Image, okay? And you upload a photograph, right? I don't have any photographs. They need to be 1900 pixels wide. And my recommendation, Dawn, is if you want to find a couple of images that you can just share with your whole office and say, hey guys, if you're going to use this image. Because, just to find an image that big, it's not super hard. If you need help, I'll help you with it. But if you let loose 100 agents and tell them to go do this, I just shudder to think of all the questions you're going to get. It's so much easier to just say, hey, here's 2 or 3 great images, use them, right? And I actually do recommend that you do have a handful of images, because just like all advertising, the same ad over and over is going to get kind of ignored, right? But you upload an image here. The only thing, and there's a lot of cool stuff down here, right? I mean, there's all kinds of weird stuff. Again, it's one of those great things to distract agents. I'm only going to point out what I think is awesome, okay? The thing to do here is it says, what is your Sioux Falls home worth now? You might want to change this if you're doing something on condos. You're probably not, right, in Sioux Falls. I don't know, but if you did, if you want to say, what is my Sioux Falls condo home worth now, great. But the one line I do like to change here, and you're going to see me do this again, is get your answer in less than 15 seconds. Because it makes that, if the consumer gets there, we're all afraid to fill out things on the internet, right? Of course, because we're going to get spam and we don't want that. So just giving them an incentive right on the page is like, yeah, you're going to get your answer now, right? Facebook, add this thing here. We should just pull it off. It's junk. Don't get distracted here. Here, this is very cool. It's a little more complicated. I am going to take a minute to talk to you about this. You can buy a vanity URL from Godaddy, right? And you can say, hey, I want it to be, Sioux Falls, best home values, right? And you can say, GoDaddy, when people type in that page, point it to this ugly URL that Listings to Leads has given us so that they land on this page. Okay? And if you do that, which I do recommend you do that, and like I showed you a minute ago, I do recommend that you put that on postcards. But one of our clients came back to us just about a year ago. It was January of last year. And this story we have taken, and I want you to understand what it is. Click on this button here. If you put in a URL, and I'm going to say, I'm not going to save it because it's just going to make a bunch of things crazy, but you just type in your URL, save, and if you save it and then you click this button, you're going to see a pre-written letter, and this is out of date. We need to update this letter. I wish I could take a picture of this, but it says something here. Hey, we back to school. If you want to get your home value, go here, and that URL that you saved would be right here. Okay, it's going to have your picture, your number, but what it's telling you is you can go, and the gist of this message is, I want to invite you to get your new home value using today's technology at a website I created that will provide you this information at the URL that you saved. Print this up and mail it to that target market you're trying to get to. Because I know you're still doing mailing, and mail is still important, but mail for just to like open that and look at your name is not really that helpful. If you can get them to some place where it can capture a lead, it can become very valuable. And I will tell you this, the reason this little section is in this page is because I set up a Coldwell Banker office in New Jersey somewhere, and the owner or the manager came to me and said, Vince, you know what? Every year I have this agent who targets this little area. There's 800 homes. It's a really beautiful area, and everybody wants to sell homes there. And every year I write him this big market analysis and report so that he can mail it to these 800 homes. And he asked me last year in January, the agent asked the manager and said, I want to do that market letter, right? It's January, I want to do it. And he goes, well, what are you getting? Are you getting any leads from that? No. Okay, great. Well, let's write a letter, and that letter is this letter. And let's just put a URL, and let's just say, hey, I normally send you all kinds of market information, but this year I'm giving you a little technology. If you want your answer, go there. By May of that year, which is May of last year, he had 5 listings from that one letter, and he got more throughout the year. So that's a great way of doing those sort of old-fashioned, old-school things that you got to do, but applying the latest technology to really make it work for you. So that's a little bit of a divergent. What I really want you to remember here is upload a background picture so that this does not look like this. And maybe change that to get your answer in 15 seconds. And I'm going to go down here and save an update. And when I do, remember it says get your answer here. Nice, but not, not that compelling. You might have something more compelling than what I just wrote, which is get your answer in less than 15 seconds. So what I am going to do is I am going to run, I want to show you one other page here, because this is really important. Okay, this is really important. This is my Lafayette page, and I live in Lafayette, California. This is what a background page looks like, right? And I can't stress it enough. I don't know Sioux Falls, and I don't know the towns where you sell your homes, but the people who live there do know them, right? And they know things that might look like a big building, like a city hall, or maybe it's a downtown street, maybe it's a bridge, maybe it's a school or a park or something. It's got to be a local landmark, because this ad is going to show up right on their newsfeed. They don't know who you are, and that picture is what's going to give them the comfort level and some of the language we're going to talk about in a second, to get them to click it and fill it out so that you can get a lead. Okay, so that's the whole message. That's the key. So change that background picture, and I'll tell you, from another office in New Jersey, they told me, he goes, look, Vince, he goes, my best ad is a picture of a diner that's in downtown Main Street of our town, Summit, New Jersey. And you know what it is? It's one of those old school, old style railroad cars that's been converted into a diner, so there's booths there, but it's right on the sidewalk, and it says Summit Diner, right? So if you live in the town of Summit, you know that place. That place is like central. So I'm going down this path because I want you to think about what is it in your target markets that will get people to ring a bell like that, right? So for me, I'm going to take this Sioux Falls page, and we're going to imagine that you have taken a couple minutes to get those pictures in there, and you made that page say, get your answer in less than 15 seconds. And then you copy the link. Just like that. Right-click copy, and you go back to Facebook. And if you recall, we're now like in ad running mode again, so let's get back, because it actually is, it's almost exactly the same, but the difference, there are two key differences, and it's really important that you know those differences. Because now we're looking for listing leads. We're going to invest more, and we're intending to get more. So click that button, a menu comes up, click Create Ads, and we'll give it a second to kind of do its magic. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. It's giving me this message because I have an ad blocker built in my it's like an add-on in my Chrome browser because I hate looking at ads, which is cool, but then I get that message from Facebook. What are we doing? We're sending people to your website. Your website? No, our landing page. Paste, click this blue thing here, gets a little whirly circle, ignore the pixels, click down here, set the audience and ad budget. Here's where it gets serious. We are looking for listings, and you have to pay attention to this, okay? We have a page right now for Sioux Falls. So we got to type in Sioux Falls, right? And notice it's punching out 25 miles. In this part of the strategy, it can only be the current city. That person has to live in Sioux Falls in order for them to see it, because that is what is your Sioux Falls home worth, right? I don't know what's out here or over here, but I don't want them to see it because this page is only talking about Sioux Falls, okay? Now, again, I don't know the age of people that own homes in Sioux Falls. I'm just going to do 24 for conversation's sake. Ignore the rest. If you decide you're going to get, super complicated, great. Now, on this, the budget, this is what I really recommend, and you can adjust it as you need to. I recommend as you get started that you run a property valuation page on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I recommend that you leave it for $20 a day. Now notice it says 620. Why? Because when you click that end date, I mentioned it earlier, they push you out 30 days. You don't want that. You just need to be there for 4 days. For 3 days actually, and it says maximum spend $20. So you need to understand a couple things here. We spent more, so our reach is going to be much bigger. But the big point of this is pay per click advertising. So for every dollar, you're only going to get a certain amount of clicks. As you have a continual budget on Facebook, that pay per click rate can actually go down because they know you're kind of like a consistent client. So they give you, I don't know how, but I've seen it happen for our clients all the time. Also, another thing, and you might want to test this, I did a search up here on Sioux Falls, right? I said I wanted to go to Sioux Falls. Try a zip code, and you might get better pay-per-click rates. Instead of the word Sioux Falls, just put in the zip code. We see that sort of works as well. But I always tell our clients to put in $20 a day for 3 days. Now, there's a lot of people. There's 100,000 people potential reach with this. So that can actually work where you can get 20, 50 listing leads on a weekend, right, for 3 days. So you manage it. And what I like to see our clients do is run ads like this on the weekend for a higher budget. Maybe you're just going to put in $10 a day. That's okay. You test it out and you get it going, right? And then you go down here and we choose the ad creative part, right? And again, there's all kinds of stuff to distract you, right? But what I want you to focus on is just what's going to get you where you want to be. And here's that really interesting language, find out your home value now. Sioux Falls home values, right? The bare minimum thing, and I'm going to retype this, but this is what, and remember I said go to my mastermind group because you'll see the ads that people are running because sometimes they share it and they say, hey, this ad generated a bunch of leads and that's awesome. Just start something like this. Click here to get your automated online home valuation in less than 15 seconds. And there is actually a reason why I do this. In less than 50, is that going to show up? There's a thing, you know, and I don't want to hurt your feelings here, but not everybody wants to talk to you, right? They just don't. But if you can tell them their home value and they can just get it in 15 seconds, if they're interested, they're going to go for it. And you're telling them right up front that you're going to get this online automated in 15 seconds. Okay. And a lot of people will be like, awesome. They will click that. And when they click that, they will land on this page. And ideally, you've got a nice picture of Sioux Falls here. And that picture is going to be right here. Wherever they click, that's where they're going to go. So I want to point out a couple things. Mobile is good on the weekend. And you got to kind of test, do you get more leads in the week or on the weekend, right? That you can actually run it for 3 days during the week and then try it again on the weekend and see where you get better leads. It's different for different people in different markets. Mobile is different people in different markets. So you got to test those things out and see where you're going. When you're ready, place the order, okay? Because we put in $10 or $20 here, we got a lot more clicks coming here, and these are the kinds of clicks we want. We want people to land on that page. Why? I'm going to show you why. I'm going to type in my address here, okay? And this happens if you put in any address, and you have these pages, so you should by all means test that out. Put in the address. The first thing it does, it says verify your information, and it gives you a little Google map on the right, okay? And you say, yeah, that looks about right. Yeah, I like that. And what this part of the page is buy-in, right? It's like, yeah, you know my house, and yeah, your information's right. Okay, click here to get that information. Right? And it says, great, we've got your valuation on your home. Now, I don't know how well you can see this, but it's basically grayed out in the background. Me as a consumer cannot get that valuation until I give you my contact information, right? So I'm going to say, yeah, okay, well, here you go. Why? I need to sell soon, right? Whatever it is, it kind of shows up in the back. Click for report. At this point, if the internet works or whatever, the consumer is dropped on the valuation, right? You as the agent have received the consumer's contact information and this valuation. So you know now, and by the way, that Vincent Meza, that's your contact information there, right? Now people are going to be like, oh, okay, you're going to know what they have. And the first thing you should do is you should just call them or email them and say, I don't know if you can see it over here, but I got I'll just open it up while I'm yapping here. Give it a second to do that. You should call them. You should email them. Say, hey, I saw that you got your home valued at whatever, 300. Is that right? Did you do any improvements, any remodels? Get that conversation going, right? This is the auto email that I am getting as a consumer. So there's already just an instant response to you, to the consumer from you. And so you just want, that's the whole point. Get this lead and start thinking about conversion, right? And that's it. So once you've got that all ready, place the order, there you go. So as a recap, and I'm going to kind of let you guys know, like if you want to ask questions, now it's time to put it in the chat panel. Landing pages are super important. You have a landing page section in every one of your accounts. I showed you that to create your farm market, and you've got a handful of areas where you want to build your business. Type that in at number 2 on this page. But I do want to make this recommendation. Don't go after all 4 or 5 target markets right off the block, because you may not do this exactly right. There may be something wrong. Get good in one, and then once you've figured out, like, yeah, now I've got the leads coming in, this machine works, scale it up, go into your other target markets. That's how you do it, okay? Because you need it, for a lot of you, I am showing you this exactly. Do they get the valuation right away? If you use, let me open that up. I think, thanks for the question. Give me a second. Do they get the valuation right away if you use the plus page pulling from Zillow? Yeah. Every time you use a page that has the word plus, it has a Zillow valuation in the background. Okay? If you use the property valuation without the word plus, you don't get a Zillow valuation. They get a thank you, we'll get in touch with you, we'll be right in touch with you, and you get the lead. Property valuation plus one is has a Zillow valuation, but it has all this contact information right up front. I really think using property valuation plus in combination with the Cole information is the best way to get the most amount of leads with the most amount of information. What do you get as an agent? An email with their info? Yes, you get that's exactly what you get. As the agent, you get an email with all the contact information that they put in the form and the same exact Zillow valuation that they got. So you get their address, their info, and the number that they have, so that you can have, a dialogue. You know what you're on the same page, and you can talk about that, right? And email with their info. Yep, that's right. So what other questions there? This one, a lot of people like using a plus one because they don't want to lead without an email. That is your choice, right? That's just your choice. You will get fewer leads if you require an email up front. That's why the Cole thing, it gets the address first, and if they decide to walk away, you're still getting their email because the Cole information will get it. So that's why I like it. But we've got many options. So use the one that you like the most and go from there. So, guys, I went a little bit long, so I want to thank you. I am happy to stay here. What is the average cost? So Cole add-on for an agent is $30 a month. And to get that, I'm on the landing page. It says partial to lead converter. That's where it is. And so you can only really sign up as not everybody would want it. For me, I just think it's great. I mean, because from a lead generation perspective, the property valuation plus will get the most leads. Property valuation plus one will only get leads where people feel comfortable giving their email address up front, and it's still the internet. People don't want to give up that information, so that's why using plus is good. And even if you don't use plus, or I'm sorry, even if you don't use Cole information, you still get more leads with plus for the same exact reason, right? Because you're not requiring the email up front. And many agents will feel like, you know what, that's okay. I'm going to use that. I'm going to build that. I'm going to build my database so that I just know the homeowners in the area, right? And I'm going to get in front of them. I know there's somebody in there. And believe me, I mean, I talk to a lot of people. Yeah, you're going to get some bogus leads, and you're going to get people say, I didn't fill that out or whatever, but it is online lead generation, and you're going to hear that. But then we got other clients who are like, these people they're going in contract. And if you go to our listings to leads mastermind group, which you're all invited to join us, you're going to see agents talking about both of those things, right? People saying, I just got a bunch of leads, and somebody just last week said, I got my first listing with listings to leads. I got it from using your tools. Then I turn around and market it the way you got. Now I have 2 more listings from the first listing I got. And we're excited to hear that. And that's where we want all of your agents to be, right? So join our mastermind group, see what's working, use as many tools as you can. These tools are awesome, and they work when you use them. If you don't use them, they're just not that effective, okay? They don't really do a whole lot. So, Don, I don't see any more questions. So if that's it, I'm going to wrap it up. And I want to thank everybody for hanging out on the call with me. A couple of kind of administrative things. If you have quick questions, there's a tab up here that says Contact Support. My recommendation is you put that question right here, because there are 4 people watching this page, and there's kind of the codes about your account, so we know what account it's coming from if you use this. There's a little Zillow or like chat panel down here. I'm not really crazy about it. This one I like more. Up here on the home section, top left, remember, Facebook advertising. Join our mastermind group. Got a bunch of tutorials here. Dawn, I did send you a listing presentation for last week's call. Definitely use that, right? Otherwise, agents can go right here and download it. If you click listing presentation, we've actually got a couple of things here about listing presentations. And this one is really cool. I recommend you watch this. But you can download the latest listing presentation down here. Okay? And that's it. That's the end of the story. Thanks so much, everybody. I will get this recording up online and get it to you today. So have a great day. Dawn, you're welcome. Thanks. All right.